And as you can see, there's this single loner Vanda right here, all by her lonesome. And she's here for a certain reason and a purpose, definitely isolated from the rest of my garden. Because about 2 weeks ago, if you guys remember, we had an extreme rescue surgical operation on this beautiful gal right here in attempt to save her life. Indeed, it was that dramatic. She needed something desperate, a desperate intervention, and that's what we did. And this gal once had such a tremendous root system. I'm talking about a root system that had all sorts of roots just here, there, and everywhere. And now, as you can see, they are completely missing because they have been cut away. And what has been left is this single strand of root. Fortunate for her, it does expand out and she has little branches of other little rootlets growing. So yay, hopefully this is going to be enough to sustain her, because we indeed had to cut as much away that we could of that infection that was beginning to definitely settle in. And hopefully we stopped it, but it appeared that it was climbing and eventually would have climbed right into this entire plant right here. And after we did that surgical procedure to remove her root system, indeed I decided to do some further probing, because I wanted to get down to the root of the matter, literally. So what I did is I took the root system that we cut away and I decided to cut into the stem area, and indeed what was exposed was something so devastating, something so alarming, something that definitely caused great concern for me, because what I exposed was that very distinctive purple circle, that purple ring that says your orchid has Fusarium. And with that in mind, folks, I definitely had to take further action. I had to come up with a plan, something that I at least would feel a little bit more relieved that I was trying to do all that I possibly could to rescue this beloved orchid. So what I decided to do, folks, is take this orchid and place it somewhere where it is brightly lit. This is what I am now calling the highlight sunbathing method. Now, what in the world is that? Well, it's a simple method where you are going to put your orchid in the highest light possible. And that means even possibly scalding your orchid with such heat that it could actually burn your orchid to a crisp. Yes, I know it sounds like torture. Trust me, it pains me to even think about it. But you know what, folks? Here's the trick of it. Believe it or not, I just didn't come up with this on a whim. I actually have tried this on other orchids, of which it worked. And I'm going to go ahead and show you one in particular right now, as a matter of fact, right behind her. If we can take a look. This is one that has been in recovery mode, believe it or not, for about 6 months now. And if we take a look at this orchid, this epidendrum, it doesn't seem like there's anything going on with her right now, other than she is brightly green because of course she's been in the sun, and this area right here actually gets some full sun, full contact with the sun actually. Now, taking a look at her foliage system now, it is so hard to believe, as healthy as she looks, folks, that there was something really devastatingly wrong with her at one point of time. But folks, I have to tell you, there was something going on with her to the point that she had spotting all throughout every single one of her leaves. I mean, there was not a section that you could look and not see the yellow spottings. I'm telling you, I think there was more yellow than there was even of green. That's how bad the infection was. And if we look through here, because I know, there it goes, I seen one, and there it is. That's what that yellow spotting looked like all throughout her leaf system. And now it is very rare that you can even find one, because the sun literally took the spotting away. How did it do it? I don't know. I don't have the answers. I'm not a horticulturist. I'm not a botanist. I'm not a professional orchid grower. I am just one that definitely loves my orchid and pays attention, and I know that this did it. The sun did it. When I had it more in light shading, it had spots everywhere. When I decided to put it in the sun, it completely went away. I'm telling you folks, and that's just a remnant. This will go away as well, believe it or not. Yeah, it took about 6 months to get to this point, but is it possible? Yes, it is. This is actual living proof. And folks, I also have another one, a Dendrobium, that I did the exact same method. Although it was accidental, I left it in the sun trying to isolate it from the rest of my orchids. But what happened in my Dendrobium case is that all the leaves fell off, and then when the leaves grew back, there was not a single trace of that yellow spotting. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and show you the Dendrobium right now, just to let you know it is actual and factual, and it did work. And here she is, folks. This orchid right here in particular was actually featured on another one of my videos. This was my monster Dendrobium, and if you guys want to see that video, you can click right here and you can see exactly how monstrous she is. But indeed, she is alive and well, constantly spiking and blossoming. As you can see, always spiking, and indeed always making cakeys for me. As a matter of fact, I took a couple of cakeys the other day from her. So as you can see, alive and well. And again, it was not the case. I would want to say about a year ago is when she went through that bout of those yellow spottings, and indeed she has completely bounced back. Nothing wrong with her, and she is alive and well. And after that sunbathing treatment, oh my, in this case it worked for her as well. Now I know you guys are wondering, if you guys leave your orchids out in the sun, can it kill your orchid? I have to admit, it can have a very devastating effect on your orchid as well, because in this case, again, it burned literally off all of her leaves. So she did look like she was on the doorsteps of death. But you know what? A lot of your orchids are very resilient, and even enduring such harsh burns, they can actually bounce back from that. And I'm going to show you another case with a terete orchid that I accidentally burned because I did not put her through the acclimation process, and she suffered some pretty harsh burns. So I'm going to show you her now just to prove to you that yes, they can survive. And this is my Vanda terete. This is my Miss Jaquim orchid that suffered extremely, as you can see, burnt to an absolute crisp. Did she survive? She absolutely did. But not only that, she bloomed so beautifully and gloriously, and for the very first time. Now, do we want to burn our orchids to a crisp? Absolutely not, folks. That's not my goal here, okay? All I'm trying to do is give her the prime conditions to be able to be strong enough to fight off this very vicious infection called Fusarium. And desperate times call for desperate measures. And if this calls for a little bit of burns on my orchids, you know what? I'm willing to sacrifice that, okay? I just want my baby to survive at this point. And I am not just going to watch her dwindle away and let Fusarium completely take her out. I'm going to try to do all that I can for my babies, and this is why I have elected to do this. And folks, I just want to reiterate to you once more, I am not a professional, I'm not a botanist, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a horticulturist. I am but a mere person that is very, very passionate about my orchids, and I am one that will not just sit idle and watch my orchids dwindle away right before my eyes. I'm not just going to watch them pass away, but instead I am going to try to do as much as possible. I'm going to try to get as creative as possible and try all that I can do to save my orchid's life. And sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. But folks, if you don't attempt to try, well then you know you've already lost the battle. So in this case, folks, the reason or the rational way of my thinking is that I am using the total opposite of what this disease likes, okay? For the simple fact that fungal infections, if you think about fungus, they normally like to thrive in cool, dark, moist conditions. So I am contradicting those conditions by providing it not coolness but heat, not darkness but a whole lot of light. And I haven't been watering this orchid at all, believe it or not. It is actually outside and it's kind of lower to the ground, so at night, you know, the moisture does come and it's getting a little bit of water from that. I'm letting nature take its course when it comes to watering, but other than that, it is not getting any watering from me. So the moist conditions or the watering that it's normally used to, it is not getting at all. And folks, I've been doing this for 2 weeks now, and I want to show you some results that I've been noticing. The bottom of the orchid appears to have completely dried, and as you can see, there is no further spreading of the darkened area. And as you see, the stem and the foliage appears to be completely healthy with no withering at all. If we take a look at the root system, you're seeing that they are very, very healthy. You're seeing all of the green that's being exposed right at the tips, exposing a lot of growth still going on in these roots. Also, you are noticing that there is no wilting at all going on. They are very, very plump, even though I have not been watering them at all. There is absolutely no wilting going on in the foliage at all. As a matter of fact, the foliage is absolutely healthy and very, very beautiful. The only indication that something is going on in the leaves is the fact that you are noticing a form of discoloration, a very bright discoloration, and that is only because of the overexposure to what? Of course, the high light sunbathing method. And there is something else that I've been noticing, folks. 2 weeks ago, we did notice a spike growing. And indeed, look at it now. 2 weeks ago, it was about this small. And yes, indeed, it has continued to grow. And as you can see, that spike is alive and well and developing those beautiful buds that are soon to come. So yes, indeed, still a lot of growth going on with this orchid. So fingers crossing, folks, that what we're doing is working and that indeed this will survive. And again, this is an experiment. Folks, if you guys are going through some sort of bout with infections or other things that may be going on with your orchids, definitely I'd like to say to you, never, ever, 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 no matter what, give up. Okay? We continue to fight. We continue to go on and we continue to prosper no matter what, folks, because that's who we are. We love our orchids and we would never give up our passion of what makes us truly happy. And folks, I hope that you guys are enjoying your adventure, and even in cases like this, folks, I hope you guys are growing and learning and expanding on every level of your life. Indeed. Happy growing.